Hi everyone, this is Taylor Wilkin. Today I'll be presenting on the literacy hot topic of phonemic awareness. So, what is phonemic awareness? Phonemic awareness is the ability to hear and manipulate the sounds in spoken words, and the understanding that spoken words and syllables are made up of sequences of speech sounds. Phonemic awareness involves hearing language at the phoneme level. So, we are talking about the phoneme level when we're talking about phonemic awareness. So, those individual speech sounds, not whole words or syllables. So, it's really honing in on their ability to hear and manipulate single sounds in spoken words. I know that lots of terminology is being thrown around in the world of reading, so I have often had lots of confusion on some of the terms. So I'm here to clear up some confusion for those of you who are like me and get a little overwhelmed by all of the different vocabulary words that we're introduced to daily. So phonological awareness, I often confuse with phonemic awareness, but I'm going to share this visual, and I think Dr. Lemke might have shared the same one, but I think it's important to reiterate that phonological awareness is not the same thing as phonemic awareness. Phonological awareness is more of an umbrella term, and it talks about the ability to hear and manipulate the spoken parts of words and sentences. So phonological awareness is hearing and manipulating any spoken parts of words. So word awareness, syllable level, onset and rhyming words. Phonemic awareness is sort of just an offshoot of phonological awareness. So that goes deeper into the ability to work with the individual sound or phoneme in spoken words. So phonemic awareness is just looking at that individual sound. We're using those phonemes in practice with phoneme blending, manipulation, segmentation, and substitution. I hope that clears up any confusion you may or may not have had. I'm also going to talk about some things that are non-examples or kind of explaining further what it is by telling you what it is not. Phonemic awareness is not phonics. So some people will use those terms interchangeably, but they do not mean the same thing. Phonemic awareness is auditory, so it does not involve words in print. Anytime you're talking about phonemes and you relate that to words in print, so maybe on chart paper or on your whiteboard or your screen, that becomes a phonics activity. So I hope that makes sense, that phonemic awareness is auditory and not using words in print. Phonemic awareness also does not happen naturally for students. So what I mean by that is you're not born with the ability to identify phonemes in words, and it's not going to happen naturally for you. Just like reading and learning how to read is not a natural process, you do need to be taught how to do these things. So current research suggests that most children who enter school at kindergarten do not come skilled in phonemic awareness. Research also suggests that if there is no explicit instruction in this skill, many will fail to acquire it. So it's not saying all will fail to acquire it, but the research is suggesting that we do need to explicitly instruct students in the area of phonemic awareness because that's not going to just happen on its own. So why is this a hot topic? Why is it so important? Well, let's talk about that. So I think the biggest reason why it's important is phonemic awareness is one of the best predictors of a student's ability to read fluently. I mean, it can't get more important than that when it comes to reading instruction. So this ability to hear speech sounds clearly and to differentiate them is what allows us to acquire language easily. And this knowledge of language is key to our understanding of what we read. So it's the most basic level of understanding those sounds in spoken and written words that's going to help us to become fluent readers and help our students. Another reason why it's important is children who lack phonemic awareness skills do not understand what letters represent. So that's that alphabetic principle. If they were asked to name the first sound in the word duck, they would likely say quack, quack. And this quote comes from somebody who was doing research in a kindergarten classroom. And I want to call on my own experience. I'm a second grade teacher, but my colleagues in kindergarten had this exact experience and have multiple times where they'll say, "What's the first sound in the word dog?" The correct answer, of course, is D. But the students will say ruff, ruff, or bark in some way at them. And it's often funny, but that also tells them as instructors that those students lack phonemic awareness skills. Phonemic awareness lays the groundwork for understanding that alphabetic principle that I was referring to earlier. Without the instruction, students are not able to map in their minds the phoneme to the grapheme that's on the page. And it gives children a way to approach unfamiliar words. So when they're aware of those speech sounds and words and they come to unfamiliar words in their reading, that awareness really is the foundation for them to be able to approach unfamiliar words and have success in their reading. It's important also that we do find time to assess phonological awareness and phonemic awareness, especially with our struggling readers. And that might seem intimidating to you if that's something you've never done before. But I'll ease your worries by sharing with you the PAST test. So I'm going to click this link. And my presentation will link. I'll ask Dr. Lemke if she can share the slides, so you'll have all these links. But it'll link directly to the phonological awareness screening test developed by Dr. David Kilpatrick. And then you can use this assessment, excuse me, as a diagnostic screening tool to identify a student's level of proficiency through the scope and sequence of phonological and phonemic awareness. Then you'll identify where students are at and how you can better approach them and building those skills. The only limitations with this test are the time constraints. So we're always struggling to find time, and a lot of us have very limited time to get things like this done. And it's a one-on-one screening tool. You do it with one student at a time. So I highly doubt you're going to have the opportunity to do this with every single student in your class. But in the past, I have done this with my struggling readers. So this year I did the PAST with 4 students in my class because they had some significant gaps that I needed to identify where to begin instruction to support their needs. Along with the test, that website offers directions and on how to administer it and interpret the results. So I shared that link. So along with the PAST assessment, you can apply phonemic awareness in your classroom through many different ways. Here's some classroom application tips that I have found and strategies that I'll share. So first off, I'm going to share again work done by Dr. David Kilpatrick. I like to refer to him as sort of like the godfather of phonemic awareness. And he has written this incredible book called Equipped for Reading Success. So this is a step-by-step program for developing phonemic awareness for fluent word recognition. I believe Dr. Lemke maybe shared this book with you, but I'm sharing it again because it is just a really, really great tool for guiding your phonemic awareness instruction. I've used the results from the PAST assessment to then identify where the students are at, to then jump into this book to give them direct instruction. I've shared the Amazon link for you. I'll warn you, the book is like $60-some, which is not cheap by any means. I'm just lucky enough to have a copy of it in my building that I have access to. So maybe take this information back to your building if you're interested to see if anybody has it, or if your principal would be willing to buy it for you. That would be amazing. So I found some other activities that I wanted to share with you outside of just using the Kilpatrick practice book. Because we know we're always looking for engaging activities to do with students, and I come from a primary background, so I'm a second grade teacher, so I will be sharing with you a couple activities that are more geared towards our primary learners, but could be adapted to some of our older students as well. So first is a blending activity called Robot Talk. So I, as the teacher, am the robot leader. As the robot leader, say this rhyme in a robot voice and have the students respond. So you'll probably tease me for this, but I'm going to use my robot voice. I am a robot. Can you help me? Can you tell me what I see? I see a app. Okay, so at this point, the students are laughing at me for my ridiculous voice, but they're also hearing those phonemes and they're expected to blend those sounds. So I would encourage the students to repeat the rhyme in their robot voices and then blend the final word to answer the question. So they would blend the phonemes k, a, p, and say the word cap. I want to remind you, none of this is in writing. This is all verbal and auditory for their phonemic awareness. So I think that this is a great activity. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm looking forward to having some fun with it in a whole group setting or even small group or just one-on-one. I could see this being a fun thing to do, like when I'm lining my students up to go to lunch, throwing out a random word by segmenting out a random word for them to blend back to me. So that's one activity. The next activity is on the segmentation level. So it's a segmenting activity called segmentation cheer. I was never a cheerleader, so no judgment here on my cheerleading skills, please. But this is what you would say to students. Listen to my cheer, then shout the sounds you hear. Sun, sun, sun. Let's take apart the word sun. Give me the beginning sound. Sorry, my dog's barking. Give me the beginning sound. Children would then respond with s. Give me the middle sound. Give me the ending sound. I'm so sorry, my dog is barking. That's right. Sun, sun, sun. Okay, so sorry for the interruption with my dog who's ferocious right now. But you get the idea here. I'm cheering. The students, instead of spelling out the word, are giving me the sounds to the word. So what this is the opposite of what we just did, where the students were blending. Now they're segmenting. So they're pulling apart the phonemes in the word sun. This could be made harder or more challenging by using more challenging words with more phonemes or more challenging ones. I really like both of these activities. I think that they would lead to really good student engagement because students love to laugh at their teacher being silly, and especially at the age that I teach. So I'm excited to try them, and I hope that these are some activities that you can hopefully implement in your own classroom. Last but not least, I do have my references listed here that I used on my slides. Thank you so much for listening and following along. I look forward to learning from you in your videos.